Last weekend, I took part in the Moneyball. 8 teams, half of those teams were 5.0 teams plus. And here's the thing. I had a DUPR of about 4.85 going into this tournament. My partner, who I picked up very last moment, had a DUPR of about 4.4, maybe slightly above. Combined, we had a team DUPR average of about 4.65. Well, in our very last match, we managed to beat a team that had a combined average DUPR of 5.4. As I set this up for you guys, I'm gonna have one of our other games on the screen right now. We had this game right before this final game. This was a team that also had a combined DUPR average of about 4.6 or so. We ended up pickling them. We ended up going 11-0. So obviously coming off that match into our final match against these 5.4s, at least we had some sort of confidence. Something else that I want to mention, the team that we ultimately end up playing against at the very end, the 5.4 DUPR team, they've won all their matches except for one match, which was a loss to the team that actually went undefeated. Funnily enough, when we faced that team that beat us, who went undefeated, a game or two later, one of those players came up to me and told us, hey, we should stack. Myself, my teammate, we should stack because me being on the left, since I'm a more aggressive player, I just have a bit more pop to my counters. And my partner, Connor, he's very good defensively. He has a very nice two-handed backhand reset. He likes to set on his backhand. And if we were to stack, we would kind of, play into each other's strengths, which made sense because, we were struggling a little bit for the first couple of matches. We had some times of good points, some times of bad points, and that advice made sense. So we went into our last final 2 matches with that advice in mind, where we started to stack, and you see that first game of us stacking right now in the corner, and then we end up stacking against this final team. And ironically enough, this final team, there's a lefty on the team, so they're also stacked. And one final thing that I'm going to say here. Just because we beat them does not mean I think we are better than them. That's not the case at all. The reason why I'm showcasing this game, because guess what? This is not a pretty game, okay? This is not a game where we're thinking back and forth, and we have these beautiful speed ups and these counters. That's not going to be the case, okay? That's not going to be the case. But what this game will show you is that even when you are an underdog, because of the nature of pickleball, where 11 points is not that much, and because the game really has these momentum runs, then with a little bit of strategy, it's possible to overcome the deficit you might have towards your opponent. And as we go through the footage, I'm going to narrate as many points as I can to kind of explain what's going on through our heads, and where I think things could have gone better for either team. So here we have Justin at the net, Shay all the way in the back, myself, and my teammate Connor. We are stacking, our opponents are stacking since Shay is a lefty. With that being said, let's hit play. Okay, quick, easy point there. I guess it was a bit of a mishit, so we're up 1-0. Now, look at this. Okay, let's try to break that down real quick. I mean, a lot really happened there. The first being, not that great of a drop. Look at this drop, woo! Right? Lands past the service line, okay? I mean, past the non-volley zone. My goodness, tennis is creeping back into my life. The reason why this happens, the reason why no one's on top of that ball is because Justin believed that Shay would be taking it, and I would say that Shay thought the same, because Justin originally kind of goes for it, but then does not, and then Shay ends up having to backstep because he kind of missed his window of opportunity. Not just that, but his right foot is actually on the line already. Well, that's because he's stepping back, but point being, a little bit of confusion there in the middle allowed us to get in. I mean, look at this. He can't really be even that aggressive at this point because we're both at the net. And there is a lot of slice in that backhand drop of mine. Makes it a little tricky to hit at times. So up 2-0. Okay, so let's look at this real quick. I'm not that upset of how it went. This is just a different type of play, difference between myself and my partner Connor. So we get up here, right? Here's the ball, kind of going towards the middle. We can see Connor's setting himself up for a reset. He does this very well, these backhand resets. Me, on the other hand, I see this as an opportunity to be aggressive, which I take. Do I miss? Yes, I missed by about, 2 inches or so. right through the middle. Again, I have no regrets of how I took this ball. Had it cleared, I mean, you could see that both players would have struggled to actually get it back over. It hit the top of the net, came back down. I'm not upset of how that turned out. Nice, okay, again, which this point, we're kind of showing the pressure here. So you see me helping a lot, especially, so I usually counter drives pretty well. And you can see the first one here, right, that comes our way. Inside out from Shea to Connor. It's going to his backhand. I'm reaching over, I'm helping with this. Obviously, I have a much easier angle to work with when it comes to keeping it back to Shea. We see that Justin's moving in. It's not a place we want to be going to because we can't put this ball away. We got to just keep it in play and deep. Going back to Shea is obviously the easiest way. I've got an easier angle to make that happen. So I'm helping here. I get it back deep. We force Shea to hit another great drive. He does. Okay, this time the ball does go back to Justin. This gives him a chance instantly, as you can see, to actually turn it back offensively on us. Thankfully, he misses. Let's go. Still 2-0. Us. Great ball through the middle. Guess what? That hesitation over who has middle plays in this case as well. Nobody's even going for this ball. They're looking at each other practically. Now, this was a very well-disguised speed up by Connor. Off his back foot even. No one even goes for it. Again, I have to say, it's the fact that nobody's got middle there right now. This time Connor drives it down the line to Justin's backhand, catches him off guard because maybe now they're overthinking about the middle. Now we're up 3-0. It's a great drop. And then I come in hot. So, another point for us to break down. Look at this drop here, okay? Now, this is not a bad drop whatsoever. This follow-up right here. So, I'm being aggressive of it. Normally, I am going to be trying to attack balls in transition as long as it's not a crazy, you know, at my ankles or something. I'm attacking this. Now, take a look at this. Justin's late on this. And the reason being is because he expected Shea to be covering this. Shea's actually trying to cover the line a little bit here. Shea's never played against me. Neither have I. He's looking to cover the line a little bit. I'm going to the middle. Justin realizes very late that, hey, nobody's got middle. Puts his paddle out, obviously gives me another opportunity to attack from an easier position, and I do so. Once again, that middle. 4-0. Okay, again, that backhand slice drop of mine paid off there as well. Okay, that might have been our longest point of the session. So right here is where we go for this drop. Now, even here, you could see Justin kind of flinches towards it. It leads to Shea dropping the ball. Obviously, at the 5.4 level, I feel like drops like this normally will not be let drop on the floor. Because look at this. We're getting so far in already off a single drop, right? So obviously, they're just simply not staying up on that line. They're not taking these balls out of the air because of that confusion over the middle. It gets us into the point. Now, as you guys saw, obviously we lose this point. But we were in it. I think Connor just went for a speed up there, which Justin read. It's 5-0. Okay, so finally Justin reaches in, grabs that middle. We get a lucky neck cord there. Now, there was a previous point that I actually realized I wanted to point something out. So this right here, this was the point where I ended up, dropping, coming in and attacking. So there was a mistake here by Justin, right? Which is how he played this role. Now, you might notice that as this drop is coming, Connor's up at the net, applying pressure already. I'm obviously moving in. Justin's trying to roll this deep, but there's an issue of rolling that deep. In that if your opponents are moving in, it ends up being almost a floater for them, right? Now, this is something I used to do myself in my games, and I kind of had to adjust to it, where I know that if my opponent is moving in from that drop, I normally take off more from that ball possibly, just to make sure it's going to be landing in the middle, in a transition zone, right? Had I stayed back, this would be a good roll, but because I'm moving forward, it turns out to be a very bad roll, since I'm taking advantage of the fact that it's still kind of going towards its apex in the air. Now, obviously, Justin knows all of this, so the reason why I bring this out is to talk more about the fact that, hey, my opponents are simply not all there mentally right now. You know, it's weighing on them, it's 3-0, they made a few mistakes. And a mistake like this, it's a low-level mistake, you know, just going for a little bit too much on that roll and not picking up on the fact that your opponents are moving in. But that's also a great example of why you've got to be moving in on your drops earlier than having full confirmation that, hey, you have a good drop. Because had we waited too long, I mean, imagine we were still at the baseline here. Because if we were, then we wouldn't be in this position to attack. Connor wouldn't be where he is to apply pressure. I wouldn't be able to take this ball out of the air. But because we believe the drop, okay, early enough, our positions were way better, right? Before this ball even managed to cross that net, which is probably right there, look at our positions, okay? So here we are, 6-0. We just crossed sides. Let's see how the rest of the game goes. Go for a middle drop there, a little high. Great resets by Connor there. Off the wrist of Justin. Points a little crazy. There's a speed up there. You know, we lost that one. That was a crazy point. It just somehow just bounced off his wrist. You know, you can't really tell from this angle, kind of, but it just, or something, you know, maybe his wrist, maybe his shoulder. I mean, honestly, probably looking back, the way he kind of like shimmies his shoulder, but it doesn't matter. Obviously, this is in the past now and in the spot. You know, now moving forward from this point, kind of what ended up happening here was you know, lefties being lefties here as kind of goes for that middle speed up. Obviously, Chase just able to react to it very easily. And you get that little combo where this pattern where, you know, you're not really used to against a lefty, where now that ball is flying to my left shoulder, which I'm not normally used to seeing from that angle. I pop it up, you know, and then I get the ball drilled. Still 6-0, but, you know, they have 2 service now. Staying in the point. Yeah, and I just overcooked that last ball, and it kind of sucks because, you know, at this, you know, throughout those counters, I felt that I was getting the upper hand slowly, and I wasn't overcommitting on some of them because I felt I was in a fine position. I was waiting for an even easier put away, let's say, to really go, you know, of a lot more power. And I kind of decided to use this as that ball, you know, which just, I guess I ended up mishitting it because, as you could see, I ended up missing the court altogether. Now, Connor once again actually went for that through the middle speed up, which Shea's doing obviously a great job. Well, in this case, they both did. Wow, look at this. Justin's the one who gets his hand on it. And that's how we go. And then, yeah, and as we saw here, we could run this in slow motion. So right here is actually where I feel like I have my advantage. Yeah, and I just kind of, you know, overcooked the ball there, unfortunately. That's their first point on the board. Big drive, get to the net. Crazy shot by Connor, one of the shots that he has here. Very hard to read, a shot that I myself do not have. I mean, look at this. Mike, what is going on here? It's like off the frame. It's just rolling off that frame. Look at this. This is just, how do you defend this? Yeah, I'm not sure you can. I'm not sure you can. My goodness. All right, and with that, they missed the next serve. I mean, that's a 2-for-1 special. So we get the ball back, 6-1. Another drop that, again, no one really knows what to do with it. And with that, we get an easy put away. I mean, again, all of this is compounding because we've all been in this situation where, like, something happens in the middle of a point and you know that you guys kind of messed it up or we messed it up, and then it kind of affects your next shot selection, which happens here. I mean, look at this. The drop is okay. It should not be hitting the ground, but it's happening because no one's stepping forward to take it out of the air. You know, instead, you have Shea here forced to short hop it. Gives us an easy trip to the net. And from there, he just kind of pops it up, you know. it's not just a dead dink, it's a dead dink just sitting, you know, a foot above that net, right? For just an easy put away. 7-1. That's a much better drop. And again, we are at the net. Now that's a bad shot by me, and that was actually in. This is something I have to work on, personally speaking, which is when I change my mind from going offensive to maybe neutral or defensive, I sometimes tend to have this weird little pop-up. I was thinking about attacking this because it traveled higher than I expected it would over the net. And then last second, I decided to be a bit more defensive, just get it back over the net. And just a bad deflection here, as you could see, off it. Yeah, really bad. At the end of the day, I should have just, you know, gone for like a flick or something. Taken advantage of that. Instead, I kind of set up my teammate there. So 7-1-2 here. We are up. Okay, this actually goes back to previously. So this was a decent drop. And again, you know, I actually do think Justin's going a little too aggressive even in this roll here, because again, I'm coming in, and this is not as bad as the backhand one, but I am coming in on this one and being offensive off it, right? I know that it does end up tagging the net and kind of becomes a neutral shot here, but had it not, you know, Shea would have had to deal with a ball that, you know, he would have to continue neutralizing. He wouldn't be able to attack off my response, you know. So if he had a bad response, obviously if he popped it up, I'll be even more aggressive off it. But again, I'm still hitting this ball. Now this is somewhere between my knee level and my hip level. So obviously I can't attack as much as I can when I did on my backhand in the beginning of the match. But still, I'm meeting the ball pretty high up, enough for me to be offensive off. And we did get a lucky net cord there. That's fine. Actually, that's a repeat right there, wasn't it? So, you know, Connor even put himself in that same situation where he's moving in now, and he's being offensive of this. Again, it's not that high of a ball, let's be honest here. Sure, like we can't, you know, put a ball away from here, but it still gives him a chance to do something with it and to get us in. It's not that quick, and it's not that low. Now, great drive there by Shea, and that follows up with another big drive. So Justin's also serving very big, very hard to keep those returns deep. They elect to go back to a drop for their first, but they do get up. And we end up taking that point there. Now, all those times that Connor was going to the middle previously actually paid off for this particular point because, as you can see here, Shea is actually looking to cover that middle because Connor has sped up that middle a few times now. But just, you know, a chill cross-court dink puts us in this massive advantage positionally. And yeah, it was a good point for us to have taken, right? And both those balls, I mean, were placed really well here, right? So from this one, where was it? This attack here, right? Targeting the legs. The follow-up shot, again, targeting the legs of Justin, forcing them to have to reset these balls. So that's big. And second server for them, though. And they missed that drive. Again, it's like a 2-for-1 special there. So 8-3-1. Good drop. Keeping it in play, keeping it in play. And then Justin kind of just misses that dink. That is very uncharacteristic of him. I finally miss a drop short. That's okay. Go for a drive, trying to drop that, a little too high. Shea attacks me pretty well. Yep, so again, clearly it's just not their day, right? Because even a shot like this, Justin obviously will never float a drop that high from such a close position to the net. You know, obviously, mostly speaking, when you're closer to the net, the more likely you are to perform a high-quality drop. But in this case, I mean, this ball is just sitting there for the taking. If you guys watched all my previous videos, you would know that I have a very powerful backhand volley, whether it's a punch or a roll. I probably generate even more power on my backhand rolls than I do on my forehand once, even punches, to be honest. So that's a great spot for me to be in. So let's see, second server. It's a good serve to get that point. It's 4-9. Slowly climbing back. Big drive. Yep, that was in. So did play more aggressively there. 5-9. Here we go. Boom, again. So the first drive comes to me here. It's slightly high. I mean, yeah, not a shot I could obviously attack off, but it's enough for me to punch back aggressively off. I keep it, you know, deep right off the bat. This one here, so it's kind of what I was speaking about, where if I'm gonna let that ball drop, I'm obviously conceding them coming to the kitchen to an extent. I'm not gonna be trying to hit this deep because I'm assuming at this level, obviously, that folks are gonna start moving in off it. And I still give, you know, somewhat of a decent paced shot here, but targeting the legs. I mean, look where I placed this. In hindsight, obviously, if Shea were looking at this, he would agree that taking this out of the air, resetting it out of the air would be the option. It's not an easy thing to do. I mean, you'd be doing this, you know, around the shin level. No matter what, still a very tough shot to execute. And it's just well placed. And that's what I normally try to go for when I am letting that ball drop. So 9-5. Let's see. Tag him in the body of a backhand drive. Pretty crazy. Just caught him in the wrong moment. So here we go. 10-5. Is this the point that's going to finally get us the win here? Go for a drop. And another drop. And the backhand drop once again gets us that final point. So there you have it. I mean, 11-5. They were disappointed. It makes sense. I mean, they were expected to win, you know, and the way they played things out, right, of how massive of a weakness that middle was, it was a bit surprising because they had, you know, 6 matches. Is it 6 matches? They had 6 matches before us to figure that middle out. And then in this particular match, it was as though that they just walked onto the court together for the first time ever. And as I say that, the funny thing is that for the first 2 or 3 matches, Connor and I struggled with that middle tremendously when we were not stacking. Because Connor, when he would be on the left, he would still be willing to allow me to cover left of my backhand, but I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to always giving that middle to the person on my left. So we would have these situations. There was this one game in particular where it was ridiculous, where it was like 3 or 4 points in a row. We just could not figure out what was going on with that middle ball, you know, because I was giving it to him and he thought I'll be covering it. And only when we started to stack and it became clear, hey, the left side player should be taking it, did we start performing so much better. I mean, we pickled a team that was, they were a good team, you know, to pickle a 4.6 DUPR team. It's not an easy feat. And then we obviously performed very, very well the very next match. Once we figured out that middle problem, which is exactly the same problem that our opponents had, you know? And here's the thing, obviously they didn't play amazing. I mean, no one's gonna sit here and say they played amazing. They played below their level without a question about it. It's one of those things where it kind of snowballs, right? That something goes wrong in the beginning, they start questioning themselves, they start getting tight. We had nothing to lose. They had a lot more to lose. We had nothing to lose going into this match. And the funny thing is, even when we were winning 6-0 or 7-1, we had zero expectation about winning this match. That's me speaking personally about it, because I knew that, hey, they could pull up their level, we can still drop our level, and they can come back, right? That can definitely happen. Again, in Pickleball, we've seen a lot of things happen even at the pro level. So at no point in time did I think we were going to be winning this, which allowed us to play relaxed. On the other hand, our teammates had to play more stressed out, and on top of that, they were overthinking some circumstance. But ultimately, what did we do better than them? Well, we got to the net way easier than them, right? Think about all those drops that got us to the net right away. We made less unforced errors, right? That's no surprise. I mean, they made they dumped a few dinks into the net. They dumped a few drops into the net from our drops, right? We were also the more aggressive team, right? I think pound for pound, if you looked at, who had more speed ups and so forth, we were the more aggressive team. I mean, so if you look at stuff like this, right, we got to the net more often, we had less errors, and we were the more aggressive team. I mean, that's usually the formula for the winning team, right? If you take that, if you do those 3 things better than your opponents, I mean, you're always going to be the winner there. And as I say all that, I'm not saying that we are the better team as a whole, because I would not be surprised that if we were to play 10 games against these guys, they would probably win 7 out of those 10 games. That's going to be the case because they are all very good players. But in this specific matchup, for whatever reason, whether they got tight a little bit too early or they just could not figure out that middle for some reason, it just pulled their level down tremendously. Now, to be fair, going to this tournament, I would say that I was underrated at a 4.86 DUPR. I would also say that my teammate Connor at a 4.45 DUPR or so was also underrated. So in actuality, maybe the gap wasn't as big as it is on paper going into it if you just average out the DUPRs. But there you have it. If you enjoyed the video, you enjoyed the analysis, throw me a thumbs up, subscribe for more content like this. If you have any questions for me, just leave them in the comments below. And with that, I'll see you guys out there.
Good night, guys. Good night.